What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Paradeisos. I'm Alex Quinn, and today I'm going to talk about the man's role in relationships. Stay tuned. That's right, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about man's role in relationships. What does the culture say about it? What does the Bible say about it? And what do we need to do about it? That's what I'm talking about. So first up, what does society say? Well, society recently has gone on the verge of gender fluid, gender identity problems, and a lot of empowerment for women on a lot of good scales. However, there are specific gender roles laid out, and we've kind of started blurring these, and it's obviously becoming a relational problem as we blur these relationship roles as they were laid out in the Bible. But society is saying, everyone's equal, we're all same worth, and if nothing else, it's actually starting to suppress men and raise minorities and women above them for the reasons. Of course, there's cultural stuff that happens that causes these things, but the problem is it can very adversely affect your relationships with people and how we interact with people and how we understand it and how you can find someone that is really truly like your soulmate, the person you choose to do life with the rest of your life, because we start questioning how we are supposed to interact and how this leadership thing's supposed to work and how the relationship's supposed to be the two really functioning as one, when society is saying there's no difference. There's no difference in how we think. There's no difference in what we can do or accomplish. There's no difference at all, is the line that society is saying, where the Bible stands in opposition. Here's why the Bible stands in opposition, and it's because men and women are made specifically for a different part. And yes, they can accomplish great things, but they accomplish it in a different way. So, on that note, on the guy's perspective, I want to give you this part one of this video about the men on why the Bible says it's actually a different role. Starting with Genesis 2, where we all know this familiar verse, where Adam is given the task to name the animals. Okay? This is God knowing that it's not good for man to be alone, but he's giving him the opportunity to see that it's not good for him to be alone. He gives him the job of naming every beast of the field and bird of the sky. So you got to imagine this can take years. Adam wakes up, Adam names, rooster, chicken, doe, buck, all day for a long period of time of naming all these animals and realizing there's a male version and a female version. One that does certain things and the one that produces, the next of kin. And he's noticing things. And then he realizes that, man, Adam's getting sad about this. So he puts him to sleep, takes out his rib, like a lot of people know the story, creates woman. And when God brings a woman, he fashioned her, he brings Eve to Adam. When he cries out, "This is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man." He is in literal adoration of who she is. How amazing it is that he found his partner. Now, with that, we see in psychology that he found the person he's attracted to, right? And there's only two of them, so it's a very different scenario than right now. But there's still the process of getting to know each other and loving each other, and those things that happen in the process to marriage and children. And we don't get a glimpse of that, but we can see it in how stuff's happening nowadays. And I would like to break it down in a very honest opinion, because guys come from sports and gaming analogies. So when you first meet someone, especially a guy, when you first meet a girl, especially if you're attracted to them, there's the pre-game or prologue state, right? Where you're just kind of understanding who the person is. Is it a real attraction? Is it not? How do you interact with the person? Do you guys mesh together well? Those type of things happen. Now there's the introduction beginning or the first period or first quarter, whatever you want to call it, where you're truly testing the waters. You're seeing how well your friendship lasts. You're seeing if there's something there for a relationship. You're starting the idea of dating each other and those type of things. And then there's a process, second period, the second quarter, or, the bulk of the story, which is pursuing each other into dating and engagement and marriage and those type of things. And it goes through. So that's where that side comes from. Now for ladies, that's second period, right? So there's halftime and now there's the rest. Well, guys have in their nature to do this conquering thing. That's why, stories like Mario was so impressive at the time, because it was, save the princess. And once you save the princess, the game's over. So guys have innately in them that they put so much effort into a relationship at the beginning. And that amount of effort is never going to, it usually never increases above what they invested into the relationship at the beginning. If anything, it goes the opposite direction and then has to get corrected back up. So the amount of effort a guy gives to win your heart and, marry you is this same amount or less that he's going to use to keep you. Now, if you ladies are saying, see, that's why you got to play hard to get. Well, if you make it too hard, it's a gamer term of rage quit, because he's going to assess, like most men do, the if the benefits outweigh the risk or the amount of effort involved, then it's risk benefit. If it increases the risk too high, he just rage quits, and then you don't have a relationship anymore. So you got to understand there's a balance in that. And then once he, understands the amount of effort into the relationship, he's doing that amount to keep you. So ladies, if you pursue a guy, understand why he's not doing as much effort to keep you or do stuff or engage, because he didn't have to in the beginning. He didn't have to step out. So he's not right now knowing what it takes to keep you, or how to, or speak your love language, or those same type of things that we've come to understand. So, for guys, once it's marriage, majority of guys, that is the championship. They got the trophy. They won the game. The effort that they put into it is bam, good. Now there's the extreme of guys who just kind of, we're married, I don't have to pursue you anymore. There's the other ones who keep it up. There's the next game or the next game, and they're going to put the same amount of effort because they are invested. They already did all this work, and they want to keep it, and they want to keep up this mentality and this love language, and they want to keep this relationship on par, which you guys both like. Now the hard part of that is the majority of guys don't adapt well when your love languages change, or because they're not the number one communicators. Well, guys can talk, doesn't mean they always listen. Real talk. But you got to understand, it has to be, laid out in a way that he can understand it, speaks his love language, so he can learn to speak your love language, because we all change. Different seasons bring different types of possibly the same love language, but it can actually change in how you receive love in that love language. So when you're dating, physical affection is a big one. Communication, you want to feel like you're getting to know each other, and quality time and stuff like that. Well, once you're married, sometimes it changes to, instead of quantity time, it's just quality time. You want to spend time doing stuff that you guys love, not necessarily just being around each other all the time. Or sometimes it goes from quality time to quantity. You just want to be in each other's presence. Or sometimes it's, switches to, I need alone time because you're an introvert and need to recharge your battery. So sometimes that is your love language. If your spouse takes your kids or just kind of gives you time away to, pamper yourself, sometimes that's the best thing for your love language. But he needs to know, it's be communicated, because not all guys are that attentive. Now, I'm using very general because this is a majority, guys. This is how we're wired. We're wired to be warriors, to be the barbarian way. If you've never read it, great book to understand some of the mentality of guys. Is we're wired to conquer, to complete, to task oriented type stuff, which is why so many people get frustrated, because the task, when it's complete, a guy says it's done, it's over with, instead of realizing that there's still the after of the task. There's still more investment to do. There's still more communication. And thank God we're starting to learn it. More people are starting to embrace that. But you have to understand, people who've never gone through a relationship or never got exposed to this type of learning don't understand. So what does this mean for us? The Bible lays out there's a role for men. He's supposed to provide, he's supposed to protect, he's supposed to shepherd, he's supposed to lead. He is the head of the home as Christ is the head of the church. This does not mean he makes all the decisions. It does not mean that you have to ask him about everything, but he's a leader of his home. He is supposed to, read the word. He's supposed to shepherd. He's supposed to have those biblical conversations. He is supposed to do these things, but a lot of guys are worried about stepping into that role, not knowing what you expect of it, or not wanting to offend or not wanting to hurt because of our cultural mindset against it. So, ladies, if you're in this relationship, communicate. Tell the guy what you need from him. Tell him, what role you want him in as a leader in your home. What do you need from him? Communicate it. Use words. Don't be afraid that he could, get hurt by it, because he's going to realize he failed in some way, and it hurts guys. All right. Failure's never fun. If you don't understand how emotional guys can get in failure, just watch a sports game when the team loses. All right. They throw stuff, they get mad, they hit things. Reality. All right. Not trying to call anyone out, but that's, what happens when guys feel like they fail. They that tends to be the emotion, that comes out, is anger when they feel like they failed in some capacity on something they thought was a win and it's actually a loss. So communicate, allow him to know what best serves you, what is the best thing he can do for you, because us guys become very introverted and task oriented, and that's why the honey-do list became popular. And as much as it's a joke, it's true. It actually gives a guy a list of things he knows that you kind of want to see from him or see him do, in those type of things in a family, in a relationship. So if you're in a current dating relationship and you don't feel like the guy's pursuing you, understand he put so much effort into pursuing you, and now you have to kind of raise the stakes on how much effort he's going to put to keep you. All right, guys, understand we have to listen, and we have to actually pay attention and not take it personal when ladies tell us stuff that they need differently. Their love language is not being fed or something like that. We can't take it as we failed as much as we just weren't paying as much attention, and we need to adapt how we do things. So yeah, that's kind of what God put on my heart, understanding that for guys, there's a task list, there's amount of effort, and they tend to keep it at that level. And then because when they hit marriage, or when they hit the expectation of this is where we're at right now, they tend to drop off on effort. All right, because now they're moving on to the next task, the next accomplishment, the next challenge, whatever you want to call it, the next game that they feel like they have to complete. So it's relationships, job, whatever, task, promotion, those type of things, and they're putting that as a priority. And sadly, sometimes that's at the expense of a relationship. So I hope this helped people kind of understand, coming from a man's perspective, what's happening in relationships, what's happening with this feminist rise up in the culture is guys are sometimes afraid to be that leader in their home, to take over that spot, to make those decisions, because they don't think they have the permission to, and they don't want to sound like they're hating women or trying to take a task away from you, or those type of things. So instead of risking the offense, or risking making you emotional or upset with them, they'd rather just not deal with it. That's guys, all right? Sometimes we'd rather not deal with the emotional part of a relationship just to keep the peace, all right? So, guys, be okay. Turn off the TV. Don't watch the game. Engage in the relationship and find out what your wife needs from you in this current season, or what does your girlfriend or fiance need from you in this stage of your relationship that you may not be providing. What is the actual cause of any strife happening in the relationship? Be okay to ask those questions, because sometimes we are blind to those things. All right. Sometimes guys don't see what's right in front of them. Perfect example, ladies, you get all done up, you get a nice dress that he said he looked on you, you love the way it looked, you get your makeup done, your hair done, and he might be like, oh, are we doing something tonight? I forgot. And you get really upset. That's just men, okay? We apologize, but it happens, and guys are trying actively to correct that. But don't just toss them under the bus. Help us, hand out. We're looking for a hand up, not a hand out. Don't just pity. Give them things they can do to prove affection and prove their love, and grow in this thing called life together. But understand that guys are task oriented. They feel like the task is done once it's done. That's why They're give you a simple fix for anything you talk to them about, unless you tell them you don't need them to talk. So understand, we are different, all right? Guys are going to come from this perspective in relationships all over the board, all right? You can see it with parents, you can see it with siblings, you can see it in dating. You can see that they treat it task oriented. They treat it like there's something to do. Once it's done, it's over with, don't have to worry about it. That's not the case with women, all right? Sometimes those things last years of emotional stuff happening to truly deal with all the emotional root that was in that decision making or that task or whatever happened, and we don't realize it. All right? So all this to say, guys, we need to work on communication and not just being task oriented. And ladies, give us a break of understanding we're not on that emotional scale of just talking about it all. We're not really good at always recognizing everything. And the amount of effort that you have a guy go through to win your heart is the amount of effort he's going to do to keep it. All right? I hope this helps someone. If it did, go, you know what to do. Comment, like, subscribe, share. If not, hit that dislike. Let me know why you disagree with me. I'm always interested in new perspectives, but, we'll see. And I will see you next time.